Hello and welcome to today's Adventures of the Windswift. Thank you for joining us. It's our full crew as usual, and we continue our desperate journey to mutilate, maul, and eviscerate everything and everyone within the prison of Knaxa. But to give us a brief recap, it's number 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's Simon, and off you go. Just give us a little bit of a heads up. What's happening? Where are we?
We murder everybody because we're the good guys.
Yes.
So last week, what happened is the captains basically convened to take stock and see what's the most important things that need to be handled now and what's generally important and maybe what is less important. And then we decided upon that kind of taking care of the maximum security of the prison is the most immediate important thing, and the most important thing overall would be the dragons, but we have a little bit more time with that, since that's information of maybe a conspiracy or untruth or whatever that have been told within the orders. We then got the news that there's a random Archon being apprehended by some Wraith because of a child we might or might not have in our possession any longer. And after that we descended upon the prison and bathed it in blood.
That's right. Blood of the prison guards, blood of the prisoners, and of themselves. So that's a pretty good, succinct recap of exactly where we are. And without
I didn't bleed. I just snapped a few knees.
I just got barbecued. I wasn't bleeding at all.
All right, okay. None of your blood yet.
Just a lot of Freddy's blood.
Just a lot of Freddy's
True.
dust.
We've got enough.
Scale, brown scale, right. Absolutely. So the 5 of you are standing in that kitchen chamber. You have heard noise, sounds like talking coming from the administration wing, that offices that are just one door away from the kitchens that you're in. But you're also hearing, it's above you, but it sounds quite far away. You're hearing this...
Oh God, don't tell me there's another golem in there.
So the first thing that Blacksnow would do as we kind of get into the scene is jump up and rush over to Korn and Adrosai and just see how the cat is doing.
Never mind the cat, I'm feeling peculiar. I've just done something that's technically impossible.
And
I'm
just look at
fine.
her. Are you okay?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm okay, I think. Did you take care of that? The walking pustule? What was his name?
Freddy is taken care of, yeah.
No, not Freddy. The uniformed man, the turnip. What?
He has been executed.
Oh yeah, good. God, he shot me in the face. I don't think he meant to, but he shot me in the face. Ow.
He attacked
Competence surrounds us.
No, he was just like, he was pissing himself and I touched him and then he went, ah, and then he shot me in the face.
It doesn't matter. He's
accidental.
dead. He got what he deserved.
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna do it myself if you hadn't.
It's fine. You're sure that you're feeling okay?
I'm not at my best, but I'm all right to continue.
Okay. And you would see Blackston also has like a dent in his armor from the swing, and like his face, like little blood is like a little bit trickling down his face. I mean, I took a good hit as well. So.
And Jorg is sitting in a chair massaging his knees.
Ow! And I then say to Adosai, do you think you can operate the map?
The map?
There was a map in the warden's office, which was similar. It doesn't matter. It seems to be some sort of updating itself, keeping up to date. We need to.
Did I see him turn that on? Was I in the room when he did that?
I don't think you were over there.
No, it was just Blackston.
I went out. It was just me, and I went out. We met in the middle where we are right now, I think.
Correct.
Well.
Yeah. I think I saw it once it was on, but I don't think I saw him turn it on. But
anyway,
I'm sure I can figure it out.
Where I would lead them.
Well, I remember that the library was on one stairs up, right?
I don't know.
The library was one floor above us, right?
Correct. The library was.
Do I know what else was up there?
Where's the warden's office? That's where I would want to go.
All right, so you want to head to the warden's office. Jorik, where are you going?
I stare at the stairs in despair, but I follow him up.
That's where you were before. All right, so the warden's office is just straight through the doors. Then you get that sort of waiting room where your chair was melted by acid. And
Oh.
that has the staircase that goes up to the library, and then another door that leads directly into that warden's actual office.
Is that where the thumping's coming from?
The
Yeah, I
thumping
don't know.
seems to be coming from all above you, but it's very far away. It sounds like distant artillery fire.
Was it us?
Could be us.
I could, yes. But how far would it be for me to get back up and see what's happening?
You've got 4 floors of stairs to climb.
Before we leave, I want to check out that guard that was thrown across the corridor.
All right.
Is still alive.
He is still alive, but I'll come back to you. Saket, what are you doing?
Well, firstly, she's looking around for the thumping, but she's also heading for the warden's office.
All right, so you're going with Blackston Con?
Essentially, that's our next point.
All right, so you're going to the warden's office as well. All right, so the 4 of you are going off to the warden's office. Adresai, you kind of scurry over.
I stay with Adresai.
Oh, you're going
I'm
to
going
stay.
to check.
All
I'm
right.
not leaving them alone.
As soon as I realize that they're still alive, I'm just going to go, Con, we've got a living guard over here that could use a hand.
Oh. Well, they all looked rather dead to me. Okay, you go back.
All right, so you go back. Right, so Saket and Blackston, you rush through that sort of holding room. You can see that someone's been through here and they kind of ripped up the cushioning and they pulled tables and things over. And the door to the warden's office is ajar, and you can hear coming from the other side this whispering and sort of excited talking. Possibly 3 people within.
All right, I would then put this to make this to Saket. And move quietly as possible in now my heavy armor.
All right, give me a stealth check, please.
Up to the door to see what's going on and then let her loose if possible.
And
Bang.
go Saket. And Saket's like, I got the magic.
Points the cat at the bad guys.
The cat is very effective. So with disadvantage, I rolled a 13.
All right.
Still okay, still pretty good for me.
It's not bad, especially with disadvantage. Saket?
18. Even
All right. Nobody hears you whatsoever as you 2 slip up to the doorway. As you get to the door,
Nobody knows.
yes, no, you can
Like going stealth mode.
right. So
Dun,
you 2 slip up
dun,
next to the door, and you can hear coming from the door. Either of you speak Elvish, pure Elvish.
I guess we have an elf with us, so...
Right. Well, she's Sajetti, so that's different from regular.
For me, it's not.
It's all the same.
There might be nuances that are different, but I'm sure.
Right. So you listening in, it's definitely Elvish, and the individual is saying, so what you're telling me is that there is a boat. Right. Now, how do we get there? Okay, that's not a problem. That's fine. And then someone else says, but what about getting to the maximum security? You remember what the gnome said. Then another voice saying, I don't care what the gnome said. I want off this island. If there's a boat, we're going to take it. If anyone wants to go and rescue that demented creature in maximum security. So at that point, you get pushed into the room.
No, I don't push her into the room.
Use my spells.
I just motion her to just like, do your thing, kind of. Like, I do one of the expressions that you usually use.
I do appreciate that in spite of everything, they're still like controlling their language. I do appreciate that.
What the fuck is that about?
All right.
Well, there goes the PG rating.
I teach underparts.
All right, so I'll come back to the 2 of you. Jorik, you're standing in the corridor. Would you give me a perception check, if you please?
Okay, I can try.
Do you have eyes? Yes. Use
I
them.
have eyes and ears, but oh my god. Yeah, I wasted all my good rolls last week.
6.
6.
So you don't.
13 if we're counting passive perception. But
Right, so you're busy passive perception, my ass. Right, so you were busy watching Adresai as she's kind of looking at this. If he's alive, you're not sure how. His legs all seem to be at about 390 degrees because they take multiple turns around themselves. And his arms are, he's got 2 elbows. That's not natural, surely.
That's not right.
No,
Very flexible.
You're completely absorbed in that. Adversary, you're obviously trying to help him. You're calling Con over. Con, you arrive on the scene. This guard is there. He's probably 18 years old. Maybe he looks like he's fairly fresh. In the job type of thing, but yes, he is barely alive. But he's busy draining. He's busy draining out. Basically, he's dying.
Good.
Injuries incompatible with life.
Well, you have magic, so under normal circumstances, no, he would not survive if you did not intervene.
That's his lucky day, I guess. I set to work, cast Cure Wounds.
Right.
To start off with, as I try and get his bones back in the right places.
Yeah, you sort of lie him
unwinding the legs.
Unwind him and straighten him out.
Pull that out a little
Untie the knot.
Yes.
bit. Right, absolutely.
It's Pretzel Man.
I mean, you know how I untie knots.
So you just rip them apart. All right. So you cast your magic upon him. His eyes kind of open, his one eye, his other eye is swollen and shut. And he looks up, and you can see that there's that sort of guess to assess whether or not any of you are Freddy. And when he kind of sees that, that none of you are Freddy, he emboldens a little bit, and he sort of says, I'm ready to try again, sirs.
I think you're out of the game for now.
Yeah, for whatever that counts, he gets 11 from my Cure Wounds.
Right.
Probably back
That's
to
all right, son.
vision.
I think. What am I calling him son for? I don't know now.
Yes, sir, young son.
Young in years, ancient in spirit.
Are you doing all right?
I think you've done quite enough for the time being. You just rest up for the moment. I look around. Is there any way we can improvise a stretcher? I'm not sure leaving him here is going to do much good.
Yes, there actually is. There's some serving boards which usually get put on the tables for the officers. Or there's actually bits of tabletop that have
You haven't seen a cook called Hurricane, have you? I ask him as I put him on a stretcher.
Actually, I have, sir. We work together in the kitchen. Well, he's going to be working with me in the future, actually, in the kitchens, I think. He's still there. He got taken by the ones that brought Freddy with them. Is Freddy gone?
Yes, Freddy is gone.
There.
Freddy's everywhere.
So, yeah, I guess I get him onto a stretcher. I don't want to leave him for some random prisoner to murder.
Do any of the parts look like Hurricane that was in the kitchen? The people parts?
None of them are purple skinned, so no, they don't read as drow.
Oh, that's something.
I don't think any of them drow. You are hearing that there's some banging coming from the other side of the kitchens, which is the actual kitchens part is between these two sort of swing doors. There's some banging coming from that side. You're not hearing anything coming from Blackston and Saket. They've gone completely quiet. Connor's going to need help with that board. He can't carry it on his own.
I'll help him.
All right.
I suppose we will head over to where Saket and Blackston is.
All right. Yes. Speaking of which, Saket, what are you doing?
Blackston, they're going to take the ship. I think we need to get a message to the ship, and then I'm going in now. Okay.
Kill them. The message is kill them.
Got that.
Drop a nuke in the room.
Yeah.
Well, you've kind of gone through a lot of spells already. I'm wondering how many you've got left.
I'm running out. I've got cantrips.
Ha-ha!
Okay, I'm going to run in.
Butterflies of death.
Acid splash.
Acid splash.
All right, you rush in. There's 3 men.
And as she rushes in, I would do this in Roger behind her, right?
Right. Sorry, what was that?
Saving throw. But also, if there's if they're within 5 feet of each other, it might. If two creatures are in range.
I mean, if they're talking with each other.
Yeah, they're all within 5 feet.
Okay. Wonderful. So I'm going to aim for both of them.
Yeah,
And they
make
need
attack.
to be dexterity.
Three, not both. 3.
Yeah, 3.
Oh, 3 of them, and
You just roll the damage once, though.
yeah, no, it's 4 because it's a 1d6. But hey, I got 4.
Yay!
It's almost, that's what, 60%? Almost.
4 damage.
It's D6.
We certainly got their attention.
All right, so
It's
he
2/3.
passed his dex save. He failed, and he failed. All right, so 4 damage to those 2 that failed, right?
Yes. Acid damage.
Is it half damage for the other or no damage?
No,
at
it's
all?
none.
None.
It's-
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Trying to learn.
That's what you're doing. And
Cantrips are usually, if it saves, it's like none or damage. And if it's to hit, then obviously it's to hit. But like usually spells that like are graded, like first, second, so on, usually they are half or none. There's some outliers, but
Correct.
that's usually.
Laxton, what are you doing? You're rushing in behind her. You can see that there is an elf standing there. He's from, obviously, well, he's a high elf. He's standing looking at his 2 companions who are busy clutching at their skin, which is currently bubbling away. His 2 companions, one is a human and the other one is a Cathar.
Mm-hmm.
And
Who's the closest?
that would be the elf.
Then the elf gets natural 1, so that's a miss.
Uh-oh, roll it again.
12.
All right, so you've dropped... what were you attacking with? Your halberd, I suppose?
Halberd. Mhm.
All right, so you're rushing up to attack with the halberd, and would you swing it, I suppose, like at range, you sort of trying to impale him? Be a swing,
Yeah,
I would
sure.
admit.
Sure.
Either way, as you're swinging it, it slams into a chair, which you weren't aware of. So that's been knocked out of your hands, so you'll have to take an action to pick it up if you want to.
Okay, so then I draw my sword with my interaction.
Yeah, absolutely,
And
not a
I
problem.
then try to skewer them with my sword, because me.
Exactly.
So,
Damn it!
yeah, I have a few weapons on me. I mean, then I have a club and 2 daggers. So.
You're a walking armory.
Yeah, I want to damage. Anyway, so that's a 20 to hit.
That's a hit. Do your damage.
9 points.
9
Slashing.
points of damage. Wow, okay. Crikey. He
So since
cries
I
out in pain.
So since I lost my javelin, that's my turn.
Only 9 points. How the mighty have reduced their damage. But they're
From
still
120
doing-
down to 9.
They're still doing damage. That's the important thing. All right, so that's that round. Back to the 3 of you. What are you doing?
Can we hear the commotion upstairs now?
Yeah, well, it's next door. Yes, absolutely, you can. So, Jorik, you and Con are busy holding this table with this wounded man on it. Adris, I assume you're moving next to them.
Mm.
All right.
Oh, we've got fighting. Put him down. Put him down. I put my side down and dash.
Can't hear you, Con.
I'll hang on to the stretcher so it doesn't go sliding back down the stairs and let you run ahead.
Are we going upstairs?
No,
on the
there's
same
stairs.
floor.
No,
We're all on
it's the same
I'm
floor.
getting a bit spatially confused.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
are we?
Yeah.
It was the library that was upstairs.
Correct, correct. So it's the kitchen. Next to the kitchen is a little anteroom, and then next to the anteroom is the warden's office, which is where they are. There's stairs in the anteroom going up.
Good. So, and we picked up the stretcher person from the kitchen.
Yeah, basically.
It was outside the kitchen door.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right. So then then I can just put the stretcher down and run to the warden's office and assist.
All right.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, that's what everyone's doing. Give me initiative checks, if you please.
+2, everyone. No, not you two.
7.
17.
9.
8.
9.
I don't know why. Everything else is going really well. I even got a natural 20 on one of my stealth rolls, and then I have to use the nestle one. And now, like, every time the initiative... Anyway.
Laxton, what did you get?
2.
Oh,
I rolled a bit better now.
All right.
Wait.
So,
How the hell do you get 2?
I rolled a 1.
Oh, we had that too.
You don't have a lot of decks, do you?
no. So,
that armor.
I'm charming.
yes, as charming as you
He's got
are,
cute.
the elf is very quick to respond, and well, he's not that quick actually. He raises the staff, one of these black staves that he's got off the guards.
Oh, crap.
He fires it at you, Blackson. You do get an attack of opportunity
Oh, good.
as he levels this thing at you.
24, 10 points.
Up to you just slice across him as he releases this bolt of energy, and he fires it off and hits an armor class of 20, not natural.
Right now it hits.
That's a hit. All right.
Oh.
Let's hope the hit that hit Adressai was really high.
Yes. All right. So you take 22 points of damage.
Ow.
Lightning just courses across you. Please, would you give me a Constitution saving throw?
Sure.
Ow.
8.
Ha! Right. So you are
Wait,
blasted.
that's
by-
wrong. No, wait. Why? How is this working? Oh, I rolled. Okay, yeah, I rolled a 1 and a 1 and a 2 so far.
Oh.
I rolled
Well,
good
better
at
to get them all out of the way.
Yeah, let's get them all out of the way. So, Saket, you see Blackson being hit by one of these staves, and he just freezes solid and then collapses over. That's what these things are designed to do, is immobilize. So you just got tasered, basically.
Immobilized with 22 points of damage?
It's a lesson that you get taught whilst being immobilized.
It's a combination of lethal and non-lethal violence.
Stop!
It's just violence. Yes, it's just violence, really. The stopping part is absolutely they're going to stop you one way or another. Let's put it that way.
Right.
So
Ow.
who did that to Black?
That was the elf. Then there's the
Okay,
Cathar and the human. They don't
Okay.
have these staves. They still get to act though. It's still their round. So because apparently they don't roll initiatives.
So what, am I prone or am I paralyzed? What happened here to me?
No, you're prone for this round.
Okay, prone is fine.
Correct.
So if they attack me, they have advantage, but who cares?
Correct. They're not attacking you. The Cathar is going for you, Saket. He's launching at you with claws that come out of his paws.
Meow.
Are we sure it's
A 19, so that's a hit with the first attack. Second
Ow.
attack is a miss. And
Okay.
wow. Okay, so you take 5 points of damage as he just comes and rakes his claws across your cheek.
Can I take the claws next time?
Then the human, well, he thinks that Blackson is down completely. So, Saket, you're still standing. He hasn't seen anybody else because no one else got into the room.
Mistake.
Yeah, mistake. Can you give me a
mistake.
dexterity saving throw, please, Saket? He's basically thrown this rather large marble bust of some rather important dignitary at your head.
Hmm. Woo. Well, 14.
14. All right. So you manage to sort of duck out of the way as best you can, but it does clip you across the back of the shoulders, dealing 2 points of damage.
Oh.
Okay. Adressai,
Yes.
you
I'm
running.
gonna I'm gonna sort of move through the kitchen until I see
it's not
someone.
It's not far.
Yeah.
So you're going to rush into the warden's office then? Because that's where you can hear
Yeah, sort of.
sounds of screaming and pottery breaking and disaster.
I'm gonna stay outside the door,
Right.
but sort of angle myself so I can see and fuck up someone.
All right.
Question: the lightning staff that
Yes.
the guard had that Blackstone grabbed, is that like on your back right now, or where did you put it?
Yeah, it's probably
Yeah,
tucked into his backpack. Correct.
Can I reach it?
You'll have to go into the room to do that because he
Yes.
charged in to engage.
Yes.
So is that what you're
I'm gonna go in and try to grab it.
All right, so you sort of rush in quickly and you grab it. There is that Cathar who's standing there. He's sort of just clawed Saket's face. He sees you, and for a moment, the impulse to greet you in the traditional fashion is there, but then he realizes that you're on the opposite team, so then the fur sort of stands up. And
I turn to him and I go, "You are a disgrace to the great elephant mother." In Cathar.
The hissing starts. All right, so that's Edrisai. Then we drop all the way down to Jorik.
Yeah, Jorik toddles in, slightly absent-minded at the end. It's like, oh, you're fighting. All right. I shoot the elf.
Sure.
I don't like elves.
Shoot the dwarf.
Shoot the one in the dress. That's 20 to hit, not natural.
Hit, 2 damage.
That would be, wow, the massive 7.
7, all right. Your arrow glances across his arm, cutting in quite deeply. Saket?
Yes. Right.
Good, yeah.
Well, actually, I'm not sure because Adversai is now spitting at the thing I'm like trying to think about firing a firebolt at because he did splash my face. It's not cool. That's my face. I think I'm still gonna fire on.
It's your favorite face.
It's my favorite face.
But it's mine.
It's what I keep all of my words.
Right.
I don't have fur to protect me from that. Ooh.
Well, you might get a really sexy scar or something.
That's true.
All right.
3 sexy scars.
So that's
Yeah.
22 for the
Across the eye.
target.
Right, you hit him. 2
For a
damage.
range, yeah, and then my damage is 1d10.
Depending how good the hit is.
Lost all of my
It could be 5.
If you're really lucky.
Yeah, cats do have 5 on the 4 part.
Right, but the other one is really like high, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's a d10. No, it's a d12. Sorry. I'm having fun with my cats and dice at the moment. Okay.
You're fighting with your cats. What did you say?
She's already lost 2 of them.
Yeah, that's indeed true.
5.
Yeah, you're fighting with the cats.
All right. Okay, he hisses as you hit him. Con.
What?
Yeah, I'm getting there. Con is on 7. Blackston's on 2.
I thought she had 5 or something. Anyway.
Yeah, I had
Con's on
6.
7.
Or, yeah, 6.
You had 9.
9?
Yeah, I skipped you.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, I
I
didn't
rolled
skip.
6, but I had 9. You're right. Sorry.
Attack. Yeah, don't get me confused. 9, 8, 7.
Sorry.
Con is on 7.
It's okay.
You're the man.
I assume it's just a few short strides from where I found this guy, or where this guard is on his stretcher to the warden's office.
Oh,
right?
yeah. 20 feet tops.
And the door's wide open, and all of this
Yeah.
is easy to see. Is
Absolutely.
so Saket and Adversai are both in the room between me and the enemy?
Correct. Blackston's on the floor. There's an elf, a Cathar, and a human.
Incoming bear.
Yes. And how big is the room anyway?
Bear Force arrives.
Yes.
The bear force right.
Bear Force 1.
They will bear down on you. Oh, sorry.
Oh, dear.
That's
All
not
right,
this.
quickly before this gets any further. Yeah, the room is about 50 foot by 50 foot. It's quite big.
Excellent. On either side of the bad guys in the room,
Right.
as I kind of pronounce the summoning words, holding my wooden spell focus, I summon a pair of brown bears into the room.
Wow.
Okay. It is
Conjure
truly the
animals.
bear force.
Nice.
Make their attacks because they attack
Kill
immediately.
them. Well, actually, they must now roll initiative.
Yes.
Oh, I thought they attacked immediately. Okay. Yeah.
No,
initiative.
no.
Yeah.
They get to roll initiative, which is...
They just popped into existence and started to question life, the universe, and everything.
13 is their initiative.
13 for the bears. That's
Yes.
okay. Bears 13. Great. Okay. So the bears pop
Would
in.
you
Let me
say
see
they're
that
trying to get their bearings?
Oh.
Let's stop this
There we
fight.
go. We're overdue for
All
a
right, so
Blackstone
for
pun.
that, so you sort of summon up these giant bears. The human screams. The cattle doesn't know that they're there. The elf kind of doesn't know what to do. Blackstone, you are on the floor. The electricity kind of washes over you.
Get my dagger, get my sword, and go. And since he's away from, since the one guy went away, he thought I was dead. Can I surprise him?
The elf is still standing over you. The Cathar moved to the side.
All right, dagger to the foot.
Right.
Sword in the face.
All right, make your attacks.
All right, so technically this should be rolled like this.
Mm-hmm.
So 26 to hit.
That's a hit.
Disadvantage.
Doesn't matter which one.
That's 9 points for
Okay.
Gryffindor.
Is that the sword or the dagger?
That's the sword.
The sword is 9 points. All right.
Yes, dagger doesn't do 9 points.
Right. You kebab the elf.
Then second sword attack would do
The elf's
14
dead.
to hit.
Yeah, the elf's
He's
dead.
dead.
He's dead.
Okay, who else is around?
Just the Cathar that you stabbing with the dagger.
All right. Then second sword attack against Cathar. 14 to hit still.
No, that's a miss.
And then an 18 for the dagger.
That's a hit.
And that's maximum points of 7.
7 points damage. Okay, he howls out in pain.
It's great fighting when your abilities are out, isn't it?
I could
just
more.
ka-tung, ka-tung, ka-tung. So, pew, pew.
No, I could hurt more, but
Yeah. All right. So that's what that is. Back to the top of the round. Again, you hear in the distance.
Really need to find out what that is.
yeah, that's why I want to get to the map.
Yes.
Okie dokie. Top of the round. It's my people to act. It's still the elf is dead. He's got this long sword that punctured through the bottom of his jaw. So he's out. He's dropped down next to you, Blackstone. It's just the Cathar who sees that the elf is dead, sees these bears, sees everything, and he just throws his hands up. He literally just throws his paws up and drops his tail, drops his fur, drops his ears, and just is complete supplication. The human sees him doing that, sees you lot, and he was going to try and throw some. It looks like there was a goblet, a gold goblet that they've got in a sack. He drops that down as well, and he raises his hands. We surrender.
I incinerate the Cathar with the lightning staff.
All right.
No, you don't.
That's a lie.
You hit him.
Surrender to this.
Just roll the damage for me, please. That's 60-10.
60-10. I don't have that many
more than a
d10s on me. That is 19.
That's what I do with
Plus
my arrows.
7
It's ridiculous.
plus 18.
Right. So he
So that's-
explodes. He just
Yes.
crackles. The energy just rips him apart, and he basically turns to dust in front of you.
Stun rod.
Right.
It's a 5th level fireball stun rod.
Yes. So that's
Set to stun.
that's Adressi's actions. Jorik.
Get the bazooka out. That's a stun. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, wait.
You wait.
Wow. Okay, yeah, I shoot him. The human.
All right.
I was doing a little moral check there, but he's getting a 21 to the face.
That's a hit. Do your damage.
Max damage, 12.
All right. He grimaces as he looks at this arrow buried in his ribs. Saket.
Oh dear.
I don't want to die, please, he says. I surrender. I won't fight back. I'm sorry.
But you're going to die anyway. What you have done is punishable by execution.
Fuff.
Fireball.
I just love the way
Honestly,
to put
what would we
that.
have
but-
done with them? Just
Die
lock them in a
anyway.
cupboard? We can't leave them here.
No.
Like
We can't like take the time to
why
take them to cells.
Agony here. I mean, we're just going to. Oh dear, that could miss anyway. This was 13.
It does miss. He ducks out of the way. He looks panicky. Con.
I
Your
just love the
bears.
contrast between Blackston and Saket there. Blackston is like, "Oh, you are a traitor! You were going to be executed," and Saket's like, "But what you've done is you're punishable by execution."
I command the bears to follow me, and I return to the injured man on the stretcher to see how he's doing.
Right.
He's like,
Con.
yes.
This is like, no.
Everyone just leaves him with the bears in there.
No, the bears come with me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right. So the
It'd be
bears.
funny if everyone walked out and just hear the screaming.
Correct.
Just like slash, just blood splatter out on the wall.
For
There
God's
is,
sake, try and do it quickly.
Right. There's a figure hunched over the person who's on the bed. He's wearing a guard uniform with well, it's half a guard uniform, actually.
I'd step away from him right away unless you want the bears to eat you.
Well, Hurricane turns around. He's like, "I'm so sorry, sir."
Hurricane! Fantastic!
Captain, what? I'm very glad that you have survived, but
And I'm glad to see you in one piece as well.
you were the one who killed the giant flesh creature, yes?
Well, not me, but yes, we were involved.
This is very good. There are some men you should know about. They are in the kitchens. They are trying to grade all the foods. They plan to sell it to the surviving prisoners. I don't know what you want to do about that.
I mean, at this point, there's not much left, right?
No.
They are not very. They're not really thinking very far ahead, are they? If they're trying to
Sell prisoners who were here for how long with money?
these are prisoners in the kitchens or guards?
No, the prisoners, the guards, they all took to that monster in the...
Yes, brave men and women.
Not all.
Much more impressive than their captain.
He is still alive.
No, he's not.
He looks down at the man on the stretcher. No, he is still alive, sir.
He's the captain?
No, wait, what? I don't know who the captain is, sir.
I think we're speaking at cross purposes. Don't worry. It's been a stressful day.
You're telling me,
But you
sir.
should probably stick
Lex
with
goes on
us.
through, like,
The bears are just looking around. I will stick with you, sir. Yes, absolutely. Yes. All right, so that's what Connor's doing. Then we tick down to Blackston.
yeah.
Shish kebab.
Yeah. All right. So first attack misses 13. Second attack misses 12. Third attack misses
Oh
40.
my God, this poor man.
He's like, please, I'll do anything. I'll tell you where the gnome is.
Ooh. Wait. What do you need to know where the gnome is?
Everyone pauses.
Everyone's like, "Do
That's
tell."
what he says. Adversary.
I sort of just level it at him. Like, go on.
Well, he waited for you to leave, and then he let us. Well, he started letting us out while you were here, and told us to wait until you'd gone. Then we did that. Then you went, and then we kind of got out. And well, he's
Where is he?
back in the engine room.
Thank you.
Because
I shoot him.
All right, he dies as he gets blasted by the staff. Adversary,
This thing is so much fun.
Yeah, you hear as that blast goes off, you hear like a clicking sound coming from the staff. And when you look down, you can see that the front end of it appears to have rolled or clicked into a new position. And it's just revealed a spike that sticks out of the front of it now. It no longer has the flat top. Now it just looks like a short spear.
Huh.
Are these like the Sageti elves that we saw before?
No, this is a high elf from the Empire of Athane Vasul.
Okay, so they're different kind of stuff.
Light-skinned, blonde hair, blue eyes.
No, the staff, the
The
weapon.
staff.
They
The
look
Sageti-
like Johnny.
Similar, sort of. You imagine them to be very similar in sort of design. Obviously, the one learnt from the other type of thing.
I mean, there were 40 in the weapons cache when we want to take them, whatever.
Yeah, I've got a feeling this one's spent for now.
I have not seen a staff do that before. I have
You
to
can
admit.
still poke people with it.
Years in my
There's
life.
another one on the ground.
Yeah, I'm going to just drop it and pick up the other one that the high elf had.
All right.
All right,
Sure.
he had one.
Yeah, I was fucking blasted by it.
All right.
I help Blackstone get up.
Right, absolutely. Con,
Sorry.
what are you doing?
And I get back my helmet, right?
Yeah.
I'm essentially just waiting for them to finish this very botched extended execution
Right, right.
and come out.
You eventually hear enough chitter-chatter coming from the warden's office that he must be dead or have been given a reprieve because... yeah.
All right. Well, I tell the bears to guard the space so nobody can sneak up on us, and then I return to the office. I haven't gone far, obviously.
No, absolutely.
So the bears are left guarding the unconscious man in the stretcher.
Correct. Correct.
And I and Hurricane will return to the office. Look who I found!
Hurricane!
Yay! I don't have to cook for myself anymore.
Bows quietly to all of you. Captains?
Go over to the hologram thing.
Right, so you go over to the map table.
Dust the people dust off of it.
Right, right. You can see that there is a section where you can place your hand on the table. It looks like it's one of those, the same sort of things. Yeah. Put your hand on and immediately this image pops up of the entire facility. And you can see illuminated very, very clearly in red, there is a cluster of dots, and there's 8 of them, all centered pretty much around the entrance to the engine room. It looks like they've put up some kind of barricade or something, just from the shape. They're standing in like a crescent shape in front of the doors.
How many are in the kitchen?
In the kitchen, there are 2.
Okay, that's everybody then. And then there's the gnome. Is it still black in the engine room?
Correct.
Okay. And is the map bigger than the facilities? Do we see the surroundings, the immediate surroundings as well?
It just shows you to the boundaries of the prison.
The walls?
Does
Correct.
it show maximum security?
It does show maximum security. The entire block is illuminated in red. What that means, though, you don't know.
Is that good? Is it bad? Red is generally bad. I just don't know.
It might be that it's on lockdown. Because the
I hope so.
I was with the garden.
We can't do anything about it right now anyway, right?
No. To the engine room?
Do we
Okay.
want to go through the kitchen?
Of course. There's some jokers in the kitchen trying to set up a racket selling food.
Yeah, well, finish that. That's
In a
we need to
prison.
clear this. And that's everybody, right? The 2 and then the 8 and then whatever is in the engine room.
Correct. All right. So as this sort of mass entourage, you move through the antechamber back into the kitchens. Hurricane points to the double doors, and you sweep into that space to see a rather overweight gnome, although this is definitely not one of the converted gnomes. You can tell by the fact that he's got this long, scraggly beard. He's dressed in prison fatigues. He's got this pile of food next to them. They've kind of just dragged everything into a corner. And then standing next to him is this very large orc, who they both turn, they both look at you lot as you enter. And unless you're not going to kill them, they die.
Here's a question, though. Something I should have asked. I'm sorry that I didn't. It shows everybody in the facility, right?
Yes.
Are there any guards still alive? Is our old kitchen cook still alive? That's something I would have absolutely taken a look at. Sorry, I didn't.
There are 2 green dots.
Right.
That seem to indicate guards. One was definitely the one on the stretcher, and the other one was Hurricane. And then there were your dots, which were a light blue dot, all kind of clustered around the map room.
Right.
Correct.
And
Aside from that, that's it. Although you can't see inside maximum security, so you have no idea what's going on.
Except it's red.
Except it's red. Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of want to, we help Hurricane take the stretcher into the office, and then I give him the staff to Hurricane. Tell him just stay here, and if anybody not us tries to come through the door, just blast the crap out of them.
I kind of
you
want to
can.
make his way to the boat.
Sorry.
He might get shot on sight. We had no way of telling him he's coming.
That's true.
Just take them with us. We still have the bears. Just put the stretcher on the back of the bears and just.
Should we really drag these two down into the engine room?
I'm not gonna leave them.
We have to come back this way, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we take care of the ones upstairs, they could just stay here.
Well, they could just stay in the library. That seems like a one-way kind of
It is.
thing, right?
Yeah,
So just
fair enough.
All right.
All right.
So you sort of
We're going to
maneuver in there
delete it.
first, then you go through to the kitchens.
Yeah.
The gnome, the orc. There's a brief bout of extreme violence, and then it's over. Yes, so that leaves you in the kitchen. There's piles of food and bits of gnome and orc, and then of course
Bacon?
that crescent. Are you going to do anything other than just head to that crescent?
I would heal myself for 20 health, please.
All right, nice. That's your
We're
laying
going to eat a piece of toast.
I grab a packet or two of bacon and shove it in my bag.
Right. In for a penny, in for a pound. All right.
Save
and
the
then,
bacon!
okay.
Not the bacon. Yeah. Aside from that, I don't have anything else. I mean, I would like to approach from a side that is not completely open. And okay, here's something I would bring up for the group. Do we want to go to the armory first?
We might as well. I won't be
We
much use
should
anymore. I am.
Make sure that it's locked down, if nothing else.
Well, without the warden, we can't get into it.
Mm.
Well, you can get to the warden and just take his hand.
No,
Okay.
it doesn't work when the hand is dead.
Correct.
But-
But the armory was locked with a key, wasn't it?
Yeah,
eventually.
that's true.
But you needed the warden to get to that door. didn't you?
Correct. In order to open up the secret door that was disguised as a water feature, you need
All right.
the warden's hand. And Adversai is correct. The hand must be living. If
Right,
you,
that was said. But I mean, that doesn't need to be true because anything else wasn't true as well. Sure, you need to be alive.
We could go looking for the warden's body, I suppose, and put it to the test.
Yeah,
Whatever, it's too much work. Like, we don't have the time. We really are a little bit on.
yeah. Now let's head
To the engine
upstairs.
room again.
Shouldn't we
Alright.
head upstairs first?
to what?
Leave them in the library?
We
No,
did
that's
that.
been done. That's been done
Oh,
already.
that's been done. Sorry,
Yes.
sorry.
Yeah, we did that, and we murdered the people in the kitchen.
Correct.
We're effective.
Executed.
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 Right, sorry. It was legal murder.
Con needs
Forgot.
that, otherwise he's not going to sleep at night. Right. All right. So you start making your way as best as you possibly can towards the engine room. And as you sort of journeying through those two large stone doors that once contained Freddy, which had been bashed open long ago, again you hear that.
I don't
Only
like this.
This time it's accompanied by what sounds to be like rat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat
We really should check.
coming
that
from
out.
above you. Anyway, that's what you hear.
I guess it could be Windswift's artillery going.
You hear
Does it
that.
sound like our artillery?
No.
Can't change it now.
Well, you've never really
Who would they
been.
be shooting at?
Anyway, who knows? So yes, that's what you're hearing. As you arrive, you get to this. The crescent moon is built on the convergence of two corridors, which then leads directly into the engine room. And you can see that they've set up a barricade. They put up bits of bedding, and there's the bars from the cells have been sort of ripped out of their sockets and put forward like a barricade. And standing quite proudly behind them is this group of people. It's almost impossible for you to sneak up. They've been quite smart. They've cleared the corridor of all debris, so there's really no way of sneaking. As you approach, they sort of see you and they shout, "We're not going to be taken by you lot again, thank you very much. This is our prison now," shouts somebody. You then
You're the only one still alive in this prison, thanks to us. Would you like to surrender?
Nice.
Intimidation, I suppose.
You can make an intimidate roll.
I mean, I just have the option to run at them, so I look at the others for the second right now.
16. I don't stop. We keep walking.
All right. So Blackson, you're about to start running. Jorik,
No.
Oh, not yet.
No. I want to see, like, okay, so I assume, this is my assumption how I see it. Like,
Right.
correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Right.
I assume they start to shout this as soon as they see us.
Correct.
Which means come around a corner of some sort, right?
Correct.
So,
a long corridor, yeah.
Knowing that, we approached like a certain way, and like before that, like, you know, I don't really want to run up just like a straight hallway where they can just shoot me with whatever they have. Like, that sucks. So, like, we have a lot of other people who can do fancy things with their hands. So,
So that happens. All right. So yes, Jorik, you sort of shout that. The one who shouted it before, you can see that he kind of has a brief huddle with everyone. And then he looks up and he's like, "Can you promise that we won't be hurt if we surrender?" You're now 60 foot away.
If you get back in your cells immediately.
Huddle. From above you.
That's probably the ballistas.
All right. We'll go back to our cells on the condition that you promise you won't execute us.
We promise
Sure,
we will
why
execute
not?
you if you don't go to your cells.
You've got a deal. All right, lads, it's over, he says. And as he says that, the roof explodes inwards.
Oh, no.
As just this ton of rubble and debris
Knew we should check the
massacres
banging.
the ceilings above. And you can see one of the towers through this great rent that has now opened up has toppled over and has slammed into the roof and just given way, just completely leveling the
Bloody hell is going on up there?
crescent.
Ty, this was not what I had an idea when I put you on the ballista.
Completely destroying it, flattening everybody who was in that picket line. And sort of dust is everywhere, and there's ash now starting to drift in. Thankfully, the rubble hasn't blocked off the doorway to the engine room. It's just decimated the picket line.
As the dust settles, I say, "Right, that's the last time I tried this diplomacy."
Well, I guess the gods had other ideas. So I clamber over the rubble.
All right.
If I look up, can I tell what it is that's making that fucking noise?
Yeah, can we see through this rent in the building now?
Yeah, so as you look up, you can see the towers there, but the tower looks as if the top half that's still left, because remember these towers stuck up above the prison, it looks as if it's about 10 foot above the roof is where it was broken. But that whole area is glowing. The stone is red hot. In quite neat lines, or quite neat points, I should say, around the circumference of the tower. So there yes, it literally looks like the tower was cut at that point, not perfectly smooth, but cut at that point with something that was incredibly hot, causing the top half to topple over and collapse down onto the roof.
We don't have anything that do that.
No.
Well, theoretically, if you were hitting it with the ballista bolts that were firing MU charges, then yes, it would have the capacity.
Go to the engine room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
Some serious ammunition going
It's
on.
like we're talking about this as we're passing by. It's like, I'm gonna have a talk with Lieutenant Ty when I get back.
Yeah.
Definite tour.
You'll be having a talk with Lieutenant Ty. I know you're the master of arms and therefore in charge of ammunition, but I'll be having a word with her about using that kind of ammunition in my guns.
Yeah.
Right. So
On us.
you wrench open the door to engineering. You get that familiar flood of sort of green energy. You can immediately tell that the door to that giant engine is open because you can see the waves of energy, magic energy, washing in. And as you rush in, I'm assuming, you can see that gnomish thing is standing in front of the engine room, just allowing these waves of radiation to wash over it.
I cast Channel Divinity on it.
All right. It's now completely shed all gnomish skin. It's now just a scaly green little creature.
What is that?
And I shout, "Stop! In all the name what is holy!" And it needs to make a wisdom saving throw.
It got a natural 2.
That's a fail. It cannot move. It is frightened, which means as long as it sees me, it has a disadvantage on all attacks.
All right.
And then I jump down, and I will try to kill
You start running towards it. Con, what are you doing?
Kind of just running as backup, I guess, at this point. There's no point in... I'm just backstop.
Right.
Me, 2 bears, any trouble, we've got it.
All right, absolutely. Not a problem. Saket?
So, how far away is the gnome lizard?
He's 60 foot.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, another firebolt straight at that.
All right, so that's what you're going to be doing. We'll roll on initiative. Adversary?
I'm just going to like move in onto this catwalk that was up there so that I have a good sort of overview of the place and sort of tuck in behind something.
Got you. Jorik? Can't hear you.
Sorry. I'm going to follow Adresai's example and getting behind something. And I have line of sight to the lizard thing.
Right. Okay.
Prepare to shoot.
Got you. Initiatives, please, everybody. Just so we can see who's acting first.
Oh, my word.
Ooh.
24.
24.
10.
10.
7.
7.
So I am 3, and the bears are 6.
Oh, my God. All right. And Blackstone?
19.
19. All right. Absolutely fine.
Did you all go into hibernation or something?
Yeah, I think so. All right, Jorik, well, you've got 24. You're standing on that balustrade. You're looking at that little creature. You can see Blackstone and Con and 2 bears are charging towards it. You know from past experience, they're not particularly tough.
Now, I shoot at it. 12
right,
to hit. I don't
12
know
to
if that's
hit, miss.
Yeah.
You
That's
say
all I do.
It's afraid of you, right, Simon?
As long as it sees me, it's afraid of me, but it cannot move.
It can't move. Okay.
No. It has 0 speed, and it cannot benefit from any speed bonus.
But dexterity?
Speed bonus.
Speed. Okay.
It has disadvantage on all attack and ability checks.
All right. Okay. Perfect. All right, so you miss Jorik. Then we go straight to Blackstone.
Murder.
Murder it.
Kill it with fire.
Kill it.
Okay, so first attack is 16, second attack 26, and third attack is...
Both hits and eviscerate. Doesn't matter how much damage you do.
That's actually maximum damage on each roll.
Nice. Yeah. All right. However, you're still wearing your helmet. And as you
I know there's gonna happen. That's something that my character would know, right? So.
Right, absolutely. So as you're slaughtering this creature, you have to look at the engine and the gaping maw. And when you do so, there is definitely a passageway that you can see, and the helmet. You can see more than before, and what you see is this sort of tube-like structure that goes from the engine room. It kind of goes up into the roof almost, but you can see it as clear as day, and then it opens out into this space where there is now not just one dragon, but there are now 3 of them. A massive, massive red dragon, and then a black dragon and another black dragon. And it looks like they are trying to create some kind of spell, because their massive talons are busy weaving draconic energy through the air. That's what you're seeing. But what you're also seeing is that as the engine is losing power, that tunnel seems to be getting much more robust. It seems to be widening, almost opening up.
As it loses power?
As the engine is losing power. You can look over to that gauge and you can see...
Okay, I just wanted to know which direction it goes. Like, do I want to turn it off, or do I want to put it in, like, more stuff in? That's kind of
right. Right. That's what you're seeing. Con.
Well, there's no more lizard man to deal with, so
there is still the door open with this green radiation pouring out.
can I see? Obviously, I'm not getting the extra enhancements from.
No, but when you
so
look
what
through,
am I seeing?
when you look through, you can still see there are these 3 dragons on the other side. You can't see what they're doing exactly because you're just seeing a piece of them, but you can definitely see 3 very
There was
large.
one, now there are
scaly
3.
bodies. Correct.
It's like sharks gathering.
Right. What do you do?
So do I clock that the engine is losing power again?
It is. It is. Well, it's
And I
using
know-
energy, so it's always dropping.
Nobody's keeping the damn engine fueled. And we know that's bad, so I guess I chuck some fuel in the engine.
All right. As you chuck an MU in, Blackston, you can see that passageway which was opening. The engine starts to flare up, and that passage just starts to close down again.
There's
And
more dragons on the other side of this thing.
that's what you're
I
seeing.
shout.
I hate this engine room. All right.
All right. Do you close the gate once you've done that?
I plunk enough MU in there to put the gauge all the way up.
Right.
Full maximum, whatever. I don't know. I'm not an engineer. And then, yeah.
You throw like 5 or 6 in, and that gauge just starts rising.
Then I shut it.
Become quite dangerous. All right, then you slam it shut. The other 3 of you, you kind of see this. You don't see into the engine, of course, you're too far away, but you sort of see this. And then, of course, as the door is shut, that radiating magic just immediately vaporizes and vanishes. Con, when you look back at your bears, they are a lot less solid than they were a few moments before. You've never seen that before, but they're definitely not as solid as they were.
I mean, they are fey spirits, technically speaking.
Right.
Well, I thank them for their assistance and dismiss them.
Dismissed.
Oh,
That's my line.
all right. So they disappear. Absolutely. Back to the 5 of you. What are you doing?
I want to head down to the. Sorry. Oh, you go ahead.
I was going to say, I didn't get to burn the gnome lizard.
Had the chance with the 3 other guys, and you used what? Slime?
I have slime.
I want to head down into the engine and sort of take a peek inside because I want to try to figure out what this thing is.
So while she does this, I would go out of the engine room again and
Right.
look if there's any way up to see what is actually happening outside.
All right. As you're looking up, you see the Windswift slowly circling around above. The forward ballista is glowing quite a bright sort of red, indicating that it's been fired quite heavily. But aside from that, it's quiet except for ashfall.
What on earth were they shooting at? Or what did they think they were shooting at?
No, I mean, we basically had everybody accounted for, so...
Well, I'll wait for the others to do what they need to do regarding looking in engines and stuff.
Right.
Zurich is just sticking to the entrance. He doesn't want to get close to this engine. He's not a mage. He doesn't know how this works.
Right. Saket?
Well, I guess... yeah.
Come help me out, figure this out.
Yeah, but she's going to be curious, like, what are you looking at? What's in there? I need to have a look. Let me have
All
a
right.
look.
Yeah.
Peer through, you can see on the other side, you can see that there are at least 2 dragons. How long are you going to look?
Oh,
I just want to look at this portal thing, try to figure out what it is, what's keeping
It's
it
too
up.
difficult. The engine is almost at maximum capacity now. So the heat is just intense. So it's like, look at, oh my God. It's
What?
very hot. It's
definitely a
shimmering.
portal.
It's definitely a portal of some kind.
Yes, but like, is it a portal like? Because usually portals need something like to make them happen, right? So like, can I tell what this portal is based in, or what's making this portal be here? Like, are there any runes or anything?
Give me an investigate check.
Yes.
I mean, there are natural portals.
Ah, that's 10.
10. All right. Saket, are you looking as well, by the way? Are you sort of helping her look?
And now I'm like, no, we have to go. That's not right. We have things to do now
right.
because we can see them.
You are, Adversary, whilst they're busy doing that behind you, you are looking inside the engine, trying to get an idea of what's going on. And you think that there is something inscribed in the bottom of the engine, but it's covered in bits of ash. If you want to see what it is, you're going to have to dust that away. But you do take 8 points of damage just from the heat. And
Ow! Oh, I am very low suddenly. I'm going to shut that and sort of stagger back.
Con.
I think we might be able to shut that portal down.
Yeah, let's just get you healed first. Con.
Look, I think we can shut that thing down.
How?
I think I can't be sure because I can't, that was horrifying and painful. But I think there's a circle of runes on the inside. I couldn't be sure, there was so ashy in there. But if we could break that circle, we might be able to seal this portal thing off before we...
Or you unleash it.
Got a picture imp. I mean, I really don't want to expose myself to too much danger, but if we can take a picture imp picture...
I just really don't want to walk away from here if this thing keeps opening when it runs low.
Well, we're gonna leave somebody here to boost it up. One of the Jockenstokes.
Huh?
Have fun. I mean, we're not leaving anybody else here because they can't set their foot into a fucking engine, right?
in theory, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't want to stick my head in there, but
I'm just going to draw what I see, okay? And then we're going to recite it at the best of our knowledge. I'm going to be really, really fast because I'm going to take damage on this. I can just tell.
All right.
Ready?
Take
Ready?
Step back.
All right.
Ah!
How long are you going to wait? You've written down what you think. The problem is it's covered in ash. So you have to move that sort of... Oh, God, that's even worse. All right.
Can I cast prestidigitation and get like a gust of wind to move
Oh,
it?
yeah, it's a fire. Gust of wind.
No, to move the ash.
Yeah, oil
To put out the fire.
All right. So I need you, Adversary, to please give me a Constitution saving throw. And Saket, you take 8 points of fire damage. You've written down half of the runes that you've seen. What was your Constitution damage, Constitution save, Adversary?
9. But I mean, I did say if I can do that without shoving my head in there.
Oh,
but...
sure. No. You're standing a few feet away watching Saket's hair slowly incinerate. And you go, oh, I can do... You cast prestidigitation into that furnace. And what happens is the magic continues to leach out of your hands.
Oh,
and
no.
Stop. And you can't stop it. It just starts to pull your essence along with
Shut the door.
All right. You take 4 points of damage.
Now I'm down again.
Oh, God.
6?
All right. Yeah, 6 lives. Right, keep count. So, Kate, what are you doing?
I guess I'm going to be crouching next to Adversary going, no, not again.
All right. So, do you close the infernus?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, so that's what you're doing.
It's not a furnace, it's an infernus.
It's an infernus.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, it's an infernus. An infernal engine. It's an infernus. Right. So Con and Blackston and Jorik, what did the three of you do? You sort of stepped outside of the engine room, didn't you?
I wanted to go upstairs and see if there's any reason why they're shooting about.
Yeah, we went and had a look at that, and that was the last week.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. So.
Jorix is gonna make sure that all the prisoners went to their cells, and he's gonna make sure that
they got squashed by rubble.
Oh, right!
Destroyed.
I forgot about that.
That's right.
I don't think they went back to their chair.
Their cells. No.
Maybe their spirits did.
And I saw the upstairs at the bottom of the ceiling now.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I forgot about that. My bad. Then I'm just staying at the door, outside. I want nothing to do with that engine.
What
But
is
I'm
taking those two so long
So you can
anyway?
probably hear Sakek screaming, "Car!"
Oh God, not again.
Right, so you go rising up. All right, so Blackston and Con, before you kind of get pulled away, that tower, if you recall, there was a swing bridge that extended across them. And you work out that that is the tower that Karyov and his men came out of.
Right, his Yorek's friend.
That's right. And when Jorek said he's only taking one of
three
them
went there.
pushed over the edge, and the rest sort of scarpered.
Shouldn't they have been on the map then? I mean,
they might have been killed before we looked at the map because the Windswift were bombarding.
Yeah, but it was still whatever. Like, I don't care.
I don't know. Or maybe it doesn't track because they're outside. I don't know.
Well, anyway, so that's what you've worked out.
I would still be heading out, trying to get communication and see if there is any other kind of thing happening. Like, I mean, maybe the volcano erupting at this point, because why not? And see if there's anything otherwise getting the kind of communication.
All right. Okay, that's not a problem. They were looking out for you anyway. So you head up the main.
Shot by a ballista.
Yeah, as you sort of step out. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, so Con, you're going to go and try and revive poor old Adressai again. It's not too difficult. Do you have healing magic left?
I do, and in fact, I am going to cast this one at a slightly higher magnitude of power than its normal level in order to really give her a bit of a buffer, since the silly Cathar keeps getting themselves... I'm starting to lose count, I say to them as I revive them once again for, that's 8, 7, so 15.
No. I'm sorry to be annoying,
but sorry?
You look fine.
It's healing magic. But plastic magic.
Once that's done,
let's get out of here.
Yeah, right. I think I'm just gonna drag Adressai back to the Windswift now.
Jorek comes sauntering in as Adressai, you really need to stop fiddling with things we don't understand.
You know as well as I do that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I know, but please stop trying to die. Let's get out of here.
All right.
Before you die again.
It's not difficult, of course, to make your way back up. Con, you're also leaving, I assume?
Yes.
Let's find Blackstone and get out.
Once we've got Adressai revived, which will leave that infernal engine room.
While I drag Adressai towards the Windswift. One last thing before I go. What about maximum security?
That was locked down, didn't you say?
Yeah, but don't we need the boy?
Huntkin?
Huntkin.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can open that back up.
I have no intention of bringing him out. If the Order wants to trade him out for the Archon, they can do it. He stays here.
We have a loophole in the note. He wants his son back, but he didn't say in person. So if we just give him the location.
What exactly? Can you remind us? Can you remind us what exactly the note said, just so we're clear? Can you maybe post it in the chat so we can read it word for word?
Sure.
I'm headed back to the warden's office to collect the people we left there.
Right, Hurricane and the wounded guard, absolutely. Okay, well, it's not difficult. The Windswift sees you, Blackstone, and by the time everyone gets to the top of the tower, she has berthed alongside and is ready to take aboard people. Yes, I'll read it out again for everyone to know what the message said. The message said, to the most excellent crew of the Windswift, right. The Archon is my guest until such time as you see fit to return my son. I have no wish to harm him, but I also have no desire to see my son lost to me. The actions I take are as a last recourse and are not sanctioned by my government in the slightest. Return the boy to me, and I will release the Archon. Meet me at the Broken Horn Tavern in Hechbiochfor when you decide I've spent enough time entertaining your Archon. I shall be waiting.
It didn't specify alive, to be fair.
Yeah.
Can
Well, he
revive.
did say lost to me, which
It's not lost. It's right here.
he can be
Okay.
revived.
Yeah.
I kind of feel if we return the location of his son, or he wants to be returned to his son. Okay, that's fine. We just bring him here. This is probably the best place for him anyway.
Either way, we're not taking
Yeah.
Huntkin out of there right now. It
Yeah.
is for the order to deal with.
I need to go patch up myself and look at Adversary. She was patching up too.
Yeah, I think you need a haircut.
Thanks.
You're
All
welcome.
right, you're aboard the Windswift. What are you doing?
There was something very disturbing about that engine. When I tried to cast a spell to get rid of some of the soot in there, it started draining my energy. Kind of like that
That's like that
pillar in the temple.
Yeah, that one.
Maybe like the book as well, but that one was so subtle, it was difficult to tell what it was like. This is all exceptionally concerning. Sorry, what did you say?
The engine room is a draconic artifact.
Should we speak with the Jockenstokes now?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
I hand Saketa a jar with some sort of bluish, whitish unction in it. Yeah, that should do for your burning scalds.
Ointments?
Unguents, right? Sort of faint smell of lavender starts to fill the room, I suppose.
Aloe vera.
Right. Absolutely. All right, so you're all in the map room and you summon the Jockenstokes. Both of them or just Waffen?
Might as well be both.
Aren't there 3 Jockenstokes, technically?
Yeah, there's the
There are, but the third
Swiss
one,
sister.
I think she's not interested in engines.
she does the sails and that sort of thing. So
So we have the engineer, and the other one is the shipwright, right?
correct.
I mean, just the engineer is the most important, right? I mean,
It would be useful
so
to
here's
have
actually
the-
a question. So since they're both gnomes, is it just the engineers are allowed into the engine room?
Well,
or
you
is-
know that Quallen and Waffen both go in there, and as
right. That's why I'm like,
yeah, he's
So it's
responsible.
like gnomes. Non-gnomes are not allowed.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Then both might as well be both in that case.
All right, they both come in.
Or do you want to, or Yorick, or you want to grill them one by one and not in?
No, I think at this point it might be more useful to have both of them here.
So
All right, you sort of speak into the horn. Perhaps when you remove that cork, there's a little bit of reluctance first to see if anything comes out of the speaking horn. Then you speak into it and you summon the Jockenstokes. And they both
Vomit acid acid.
they both sort of shuffle into the map room.
Stay 30 feet away while they talk to you.
We're very glad to see
behind glass sheet.
you're all good and alive. It's very, very, very good to see you.
Well, as they enter,
We look like shit, all of us.
Yeah, first of all, yes. So they might not be as sure that we are all alive. But on the second thing, I would have tried to organize this as, I assume this is like a big round table where you usually like spread out the map and stuff. So
Correct.
we would be behind it when they enter, and I would put in the middle of it a satchel, which on the ground is a little bit like wet and
Right, damp, it's sort of bloody.
damp.
Yeah.
And that's in the middle, like in between us and them.
All right.
You know where I'm going, right?
So,
I'll leave this up to you.
did you notice how the ballista performed quite well, we thought?
Yeah, we was underneath that tower when it fell.
Aye, we didn't realize the tower was going to come down. There were 2 figures inside of it, which we destroyed.
Please take a look.
All right. Waffen sort of steps forward and looks inside the bag. He drains
Jeremy!
of all color. He just turns white as a sheet. And he looks up at you and goes, "Oh, that's hideous, sir. What is it?"
It's one of you.
Oh, it's a green beastie. It doesn't look anything like a gnome.
It did when it had skin on?
It is a dispatch from Sector
13.
Oh, but everyone knows Section 13 doesn't really exist.
We're really not in the mood for that right now.
I'm quite tempted to do
And we have one of them still in the brig. Your kinsman.
Tell me, Jock and Stick, what would happen if we were to, say, strip some of those layers of flesh away?
Oh, you'd find more flesh, sir. I haven't been exposed to I mean, I'd be fine. You'd find gnomes, sir, all the way
exposed
down.
to the engine? Is that what you were about to say?
I wasn't about to say. Why would you say the engine?
I think you understand where we've arrived at, because you are a smart man, gnome. So let's start with the truth, so that we don't have to do something horrible to you.
Execute you?
No, we need to.
Oh, you'd probably have to do that anyway. Captain Blackston, we spoke about this earlier. We can't tell you. It would bring down it would destroy everything.
It's a bit late for that now. Now it's just about whether or not you live past today.
It doesn't matter about us, sir.
How much of the order?
Well, you would be kind of useful, so help.
Exactly.
If I tell you what you're asking, you're not gonna like it. It could probably result.
We are way beyond
It
the
will probably result
liking.
in your deaths as well as ours. That's a given by now. But you do good work. I've seen the way that you handle these missions. You're not like everybody else.
What,
Let me-
fisherman?
Let me
Tailors,
repeat my initial
blacksmiths.
statement.
Aye.
We are well past all of that now.
It is too late for subterfuge.
Who are you?
Quallen steps forward. Let me put my brother out of distress. You want to know the truth. All I'm telling you is that once you do, you're not likely to want to work for the Order any longer. It was not our choice to do it, but it was done. And the benefits, as you are demonstrating, has far outweighed anything that you might think could be the consequences of our actions.
What, like harnessing the dragon's magic to run all the engine rooms?
I nearly had 3 dragons crawl out of the engine room down there just a minute ago. That must be a mighty benefit to outweigh that danger.
300 years of peace.
For what, flying ships?
Aye.
You kidding me?
We were approached by the Council of the Orders, well, at least Section 13 was, about 300 years ago, just after the dragons had fallen. And they asked the gnomes to build ships that could fly so that the Orders could get around the world and track down every last remaining dragon and dragon book and dragon artifact that was on this planet. So we investigated all the different possible ways that we could do it. And there was only one magic engine that we knew of that would have enough power to be able to float a ship. It's not easy, especially not a large ship like this that can act so quickly. There was a device that we'd found, buried in ancient ruins far in the north. We believe it was possibly a culture that no one knows who it was or where it came from. But it had an affinity for magic, sucking the stuff away as if there was no tomorrow. So we used that as our basis. And then we developed it further. It was only after the first prototype ship had been constructed that we realized that it was somehow linked to the dragon realm. But
Yet still you went.
we didn't have a choice. We had the Orders barking down our necks to give us their ships.
Who?
Not sure the order knows what
The Archons?
Well, who knows about it now? It's the Archons for sure, the Tetrarchons without a doubt. None of the Gnomish leaders know. It's only Section 13. That's why it's supposed to be secret. If it's secret, it doesn't exist, and the Gnomish government can deny its existence.
What about the Anchors? Would they know?
You mean the Order of the Anchors? All of the Archons that run the Orders will know. Their ships run on this stuff. That's why you're not allowed in the engine room. We didn't run the risk of anyone finding out because of this exact reason.
So what you're saying is you discovered this was an unintended side effect of designing and developing and using the engine. And once you discovered this, you brought it to the attention of your clients, the Orders, and they chose to proceed to use the engines anyway. Would that
I'm not
roughly sum it up?
totally familiar with how the transaction happened, but it's not how you think it is. This device sucks magic out of dragons. It drains them of their power. What better weapon could we have?
Then why does it have to be refueled with magical items?
That's not fueling the engine. That's keeping the portal closed. It opens up a micro-dimensional gate to the dragon realms where the engine then sucks power out of the dragons. That portal needs to be kept shut. We discovered early on dragons can open those portals bigger and wider if they've got no power in the engine.
I noticed.
You keep the engines running, no problem.
And you came to the genius conclusion to produce more of these things.
We told the Order exactly what was happening.
So you actually just lied to my friend then? You just said you don't know that you want them, but yet now you say that you did.
We
What is
did
it?
warn them, but I don't know how the transaction went down.
Well,
All I
it seems
know
fairly obvious that they decided it was worth the risk since we have a whole fleet of these ships.
That's right. They ordered so
And the
many
prison.
ships. We had no choice. The prison I don't know about, but it sounds like they had a bigger engine if you were seeing all these kinds of things. And that effect, that thing there that happens to the gnome, that's as if you've been standing in front of an open gate for too long. It's a
Would that happen to
transformation.
anyone?
We call it the scaling. Several of the original inventors had it happen to them, and we had to put them down, obviously.
One more question I have right now, very burning in my mind. Where else are these ancient artifacts we found? Or where do you keep those plans? Could you reverse engine these engines if you just found a ship such like this? Because we found those scales on a Graith.
That's not possible. They don't have these engines.
I saw them with my own eyes.
They also have flying ships, don't they not?
No,
The
they
Wraith-
don't.
No, as far as the gnomes are concerned, we've only ever built ships for the Orders. That was the conditions of the contract. But
Did
if
the
you
Wraith-
got one of these engines, you could certainly see the portal runes that are inscribed within it.
Do the Graith
Possible.
Order agents not use flying ships?
Aye, but everyone's forsworn their allegiances to the old ways.
Yes, but the Graith are not like the rest of us.
Aye, but the Tetracons would scan their minds for impure thoughts and that.
Sure. And an Archon just got apprehended by the Graith, so they clearly cannot overcome any of the security measures for one of our highest ups. This is ridiculous.
I'm telling you, the Graith are the problem here, not the dragons.
Right.
As long as the engines are powered, the dragons have no way of getting into this world. And every
You see
time
the
a ship
problem.
flies, a dragon loses its power. So as far as the gnomes are concerned, it's a win for us.
Are you aware, personally, of any other land-based engines like this one in the prison?
And why was Section 13 sending gnomes over to it that then ultimately almost caused its destruction?
That I don't know. I am not privy to the ideas of Section 13.
Yes, but first question
there are
first.
other
Question
engines,
first.
sir.
Right, and are they also in places like prisons or other facilities where things could go wrong, resulting in the dragons being allowed back into the world? Because that almost happened today, apparently.
As far as I know, each of the headquarters has got one of these devices installed in them. The power that's generated by these engines is magnificent. You don't understand that there's nothing that comes anywhere close to it. And then, of course, there's the main.
That's heresy talking. The power of these engines pale in the face of the power of the gods.
The Order has invalidated all of its own edicts.
They had no choice, sir.
They made the wrong one.
What happens if a ship goes down? I've read reports about the Kadandachi, for instance.
There was
another ship that crashed in the Gamspire.
Usually,
what happens if an engine goes offline?
If an engine loses power, if there happens to be a dragon anywhere nearby where the particular micro-dimensional gate is, in theory, it could be enlarged and opened for the dragon to come through. But it's highly unlikely that would ever occur. We're talking about trying to find a pinhole on the surface of the planet.
They have a lot of time, have they not?
In the short time in which...
In the case of the Kadandachi, we all saw her explode. And the moment the runes inside the engines are separated, the portal closes automatically. It's a safe gap that we've kind of built into them.
In the very short time in which the engine in the prison was being mishandled, I guess is the term at this point, 3 dragons had managed to find that particular portal.
Well, that doesn't sound normal.
Nothing sounds normal to me.
You can send a message through the portal.
If we were to allow you to inspect the prison's engine, would you be able to tell us how this incident is different from the rest of the engines? Whether the team from Section 13 sent to this particular engine were engaged in something out of the ordinary scope of engine management?
Right, we can certainly have a look. It's not a problem. We identify exactly what's going on.
We need to know if the situation here is particularly unique. From what I understand, what you're telling me is if the engines are not maintained, then each and every one will turn into a portal to the dragon realm, which dragons can then find and use. Is that correct?
They are already portals, sir. Even the Windy has already got a portal.
Semantics, is that correct? If there is a massive failure of maintenance...
if the engines are not fed and the runes are not destroyed inside the engines, then there is a chance.
The engine turns into a portal for dragons to come through.
But it's a really small portal, sir. It is possible, yes.
So essentially...
But that's why every ship is assigned gnomes to make sure that doesn't happen, sir.
We just killed 6 gnomes. Trying to do exactly what you say is so unlikely. I just saw 3 dragons weaving their magic, opening the asshole of that engine and trying to crawl through it into our world. You think that unlikely? Maybe, but it just might happen.
So do you think that if the engine is able to forcibly suck magical power from the dragons, that they might not actually have some inkling as to where the portals are, since that's affecting them so directly? And that maybe, just maybe, the dragons know exactly where each and every engine is at all times, since those engines are constantly drawing energy from them.
During the initial testings of the engines, it was never proven...
300 years ago.
It was never proven that the dragons were attracted to these portals.
I think we've seen enough evidence to suggest that maybe they are.
At least they are aware.
And certainly, even if only one should discover it, it is more than capable of telling all of its friends.
Or, might be even a bigger problem if they don't bicker enough between each other. You can just focus all its power. I think I have heard enough.
The bottom line is, sir, without the engines, the orders would never have had the ships. And in those early days, there were lunatics running around trying to bring back the dragons left, right, and center. The order needed a way to respond. The other point now is it's done. We've got the engines. If you shut them down now, we'll lose everything.
Hang on. So you mean we can't shut them down without
You
risking
told us
dragon
we
invasion?
can.
No, we can, absolutely. We can do a slow deconstruction of each of the engines, destroying the runes and moving forward. But we'd have just regular sailing ships then. Your response time, you'd take 3-4 weeks to get back to Sajet if you're back on air power. But do you understand now why we're not allowed to tell anyone to begin with?
The Great are able to get around very quickly. Perhaps we should focus on acquiring their technology. Or perhaps they've already made a couple of leaps ahead and are using the dragon technology themselves.
Well, if they found one of the artifacts like the ones that we found, it's not difficult to reverse engineer it.
Well, if
What
anyone
was the
gave them a
artifact
ship,
found?
Far north, that's what you said earlier.
Yeah,
They are
What
the
was
south.
the artifact?
Well, it
prototype engine?
was a very similar type of engine, very different looking, of course. It was elvish of some kind. We've never really identified it completely.
We found a similar artifact, I think.
What was it?
I wasn't there at the time of the discovery. You must understand. I don't know. It was in some kind of old ziggurat of some. It was in the frozen north. That's all I remember. The great
Right.
olden forest.
Guy, I have one question. How much longer is it until we are supposed to meet the anchors that went to the ice elf artifact that sucked magic out of us?
How long until you're supposed to meet
We
them?
said-
Oh yes,
yeah,
you were going to meet them at. Yes, you've had 3 weeks, so you've got about a week left.
And how long would we need to get there? On air and on water?
On air, it would take you. You were going to meet them at Quethlin, right? I think that's where you were going to meet them.
Yes, Quethlin.
Yeah. 250, 500, 750, 1,000 miles. So 1,000 miles by sea, you're looking at about 12 days. By air, you're looking at 3.
So basically we need to get going now, otherwise it's...
Well, it took us 3 days to get from Takatumen to Knaxa.
Right, that's 3 at medium speed. If you want to go to maximum speed, you'll do it in a day.
Yes, so we've got
Just over a day.
We got about more 2 weeks. We have about 2 weeks until
Yeah.
we want to meet them, right? And if it's 12 days we need to get there, then we have like 1 day kind of spare. So we guys basically need to get going as soon as we find out what's with max security, right? Is that it? Is that the situation?
well, it only takes 12 days if we sail on the water.
Correct.
It
If you go by
takes less-
air,
less.
it's a day and a half.
Yes.
The problem is we can't shut down the engine.
So
Why
we're going
not?
to.
Well,
we
we can
can shut it down,
deconstruct the
but
engine.
once we shut it down, there's no starting it back up again. At least not until I've recarved
Our
the
ships are not specifically designed for long-term ocean use anyway.
You sure? Is that so? I mean, most of the time we are in the water as soon as we
They're
get...
Hatches in the bottom.
They're converted schooners. I wouldn't want to keep her in there for very long. The barnacles will grow on the hull and
I don't give a
their
shit
way
about barnacles.
Yeah, but they'll work their way
Yeah,
through the
it's
hinges.
hard enough. You have to constantly pump water out of a wooden ship that's designed to sail
Aye.
on the sea.
So-
Ours has got a flipping hatch in the bottom.
Aye.
It also has the flappers. They're not designed for sea use.
Fine. So what do we do? Get another boat?
You don't want to
Are
go
you
back on the
saying we abandon
Windswift.
the Blackston, are you saying we just leave the ship?
Abandoned ship.
Like that's something that we need to discuss among ourselves anyway.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, I see where you're coming from. We're basically using a draconic artifact to get around, which is against everything the Order should be standing for. On the other hand, we're on an order.
There is no other hand.
If I might pop in, that original artifact, it wasn't draconic. It had ancient elvish or some kind of elvish
But-
inscribed upon it.
Okay.
We found a similar one.
Seek to communicate with dragons. Well, not directly.
I think it all constitutes placing us under a very grave risk of having dragons just come back.
Yes, that is the big problem.
I mean, this prison
Attempt to
is the
open
prime.
rifts to the draconic prison dimension. Edict 1.4.
Yeah.
Seems pretty clear to me.
This whole prison incident is an illustration in the inherent weakness of the system.
You have 0.5 as well.
If we hadn't been able to stop what happened here, if
That's
we had
not
arrived
Jeffy
too
Bauer.
late, there would be dragons here right now. That's the thing. Like if we had not succeeded, the dragons would have come out of this prison and attacked the world and probably brought all their friends with them. We can't. It cannot be guaranteed to never happen again.
Okay, so do we have any more questions for these gnomes?
No,
No,
I don't.
Can they?
I
keep
do,
their
but
mouths
they
shut?
require that they do.
You're really
require,
quiet, Sophie.
I said, can the gnomes keep their mouths shut?
Aye, we've been trying.
All right. So
I do want to take the gnomes down to have a look at the engine room.
I would say we don't need to be part of this anymore, right? So I guess grab Knaxa and you two can invest. Obviously, Knaxa is not supposed to see the engine. I get this, but grab him to get down there and investigate the engine. Come back with a report.
Mm-hmm.
As far as until now, you have been fairly trustworthy, except for obfuscating knowledge, but that was under orders. So
Yes.
Thank you for recognizing that, sir.
We'd just like to know if what's been going on here at the prison is out of the ordinary, because it seems that a lot of extra involvement as changing of the team that was responsible for the engine recently, and all of this suddenly is connected somehow.
And I would like, if possible, one of you to stay here and kind of look at Yorick and say like, and maybe you can help us with our prisoner.
Are you speaking about the asshole or the lizard?
Well,
Which
the
asshole?
lizard. He is the
The
supposed.
lizard, actually,
He's the supposed gnome, after all, is he not?
yes. Jockenstocks, when a gnome has scaled, as you said, the scaling,
Aye.
what exactly happens to them?
Usually we put them down as soon as we find out.
No. I mean, what happens to them physically, mentally? Do they change species? Are they still themselves? What happens? Is it the same person? Can they still speak? Are they intelligent? What?
Not the right person to ask, sir. I'm really not trying to hide the information here. All I know is that there is a division within Section 13 that does look at the transformations that happen. And I have heard that it's either a magical transformation or it's something that it mutates their bodies back to a previous state. But I don't think any of them have ever spoken, or if they have, it's usually just gibberish. It's generally just they go mad, I think. But I don't know.
I'm not accusing you. I'm just asking because we have one in the brig.
I guess it couldn't hurt to have him with us, right?
Adresai, would you accompany me down? You can understand languages, so if it is intelligent, whatever language it speaks, you should be able to understand it, yes? I will see what I can find out, Blackston. I'll try.
Okay.
All right. So who's going? So
I think they leaving and then we actually make our plans.
All right. So who's going with the gnomes?
Knaxa?
Knaxa
is going with the gnomes back to the engine, down to the engine room.
I mean, maybe he doesn't go into the engine.
No.
But...
We'll make our plans, and then I will go with the gnomes.
Okay, that's fine too.
Yeah.
All right. So the gnomes will wait outside whilst you.
We dismiss the gnomes. Yes.
All right.
That's fine.
Okay. Gnomes are gone.
I don't think we need to expose any more of our crew to this than necessary.
No.
Oh, that's fine.
Definitely
Okay,
not.
which brings is exactly a great segue. What do we want to do about this?
Oh my god, I need to think. I need to meditate.
This is a lot to take in at
It
once.
is an awful lot to take in.
I
I'm
think-
not sure, honestly, what I think about it.
I think what I want to do is quite clear, but I don't know if you would agree.
Well, let's hear it.
Section 13.
No.
I don't think Section 13 is the prime problem. I think it's the leaders of the order that need to be killed.
This is probably how the Rex Dracari came about, you know.
I don't want to get the dragons involved. I don't want to worship them or control them. I want to get them out of here for good.
The Rex Dracari wanted to exploit the dragons, didn't
Yes.
Yes,
they? Which
I
is
do.
exactly what the Order is doing right now.
Yes.
So what is the difference between the Order and the Rex Dracari?
And I would say most of the order is just blinded by ignorance.
Yes.
We know for sure that one person is behind all of this, and this is the Lord Archon. He has been with the order from the beginning.
So we need to go and assassinate him.
Yes, that will be easy. Ugh.
It might be.
Apparently, an ambassador can take them.
One thing is certain that much of since we've graduated from the academy not very long ago, we've had to deal with a treasonous attempt to destroy the order from within. And now this. Things are not turning... I'm having a lot of trouble with this idea that I'm not allowed to leave the order without dying.
Can I just ask, I just want to clarify something, because when we were in the academy, under Edict 2, we were supposed to inform the order, other orders, of discoveries that fall within their domain and not within the Hastari order.
That's why I asked about the anchors, yes.
Yes. So could we not just tell everyone what we've just discovered? Because
They will believe us. I mean, they could just look into their engines, but...
The thing is also the Archons, according to the Jockenstokes, already know. So the other orders technically already know. The only ones who are in the dark are us captains.
I mean,
they know we would turn against them.
Captains.
I mean, the question is twofold. Do we want to go through with this? Yes, no. I am pretty clear on this from my side. The second thing is, do we want to search for allies or not? And whom would we be able to want to speak with to do that?
Well, let's clearly define this. Go through with what? Bring down the orders? End the regime?
No, we cannot bring down the orders. The institution itself is needed. It's just the corrupt nature of it. I am not I am not of the same opinion as these.
No. Laxton, so what you're suggesting is essentially an extended Edict 7. That would also apply to the Archons, the Tetrarchons, the Lord Archon. Not just the Deacons.
You can't communicate with anyone else in the order without going through the Oracle Deacon network, which compromises everything immediately. So we're kind of on our own until we can speak to people face to face.
We have set up one meeting.
Yeah, face to face is what I mean.
Yes, but like I don't see. I see the benefit, but I don't think it like the danger, the risk outweighs the benefit at all.
No, I agree. I just want to be clear that is essentially what you're suggesting. That the captains of the orders clean out the leadership.
Yes.
Well,
and then we destroy these engines, and the order will just have to
make do
with sea ships.
Or by foot, or by horse, or by enemy necessary. And I think the point was well raised, like there is other technology out there that is possibly not related to this clusterfuck that is fairly quick. We went from... I don't know the names of
You're speaking about the Drow Republic?
No. What I meant is like when we were on board of the ship from our good friend and captor. When we went from towards the Dwarven territory. I don't know. I don't remember. I would need to take a look at my notes. What the two cities were named.
The Wraith certainly have technology far superior to ours.
And the Drow have their teleportation stuff.
There are ways to get around this.
Right. So I think there are ways if you just want to find them, but I don't think this risk can go on any further.
Adresai, you have been very silent. What is your idea about this?
I'm not sure what to think yet.
And here's the next question. And I think this is, for me, the most difficult one to answer. It might sound strange, but the murder of the Lord Archon isn't as hard to answer, to come to the conclusion as this question. What do we want to do with our crew?
Our crew?
Our crew,
They swore an oath, or they swore an oath to the order, not to us. And at least until this is pretty clear, we will obviously not work within the structure of the order.
You're saying we should give them a chance to jump ship?
Well...
Forgive me for being blunt and speaking to emotions. I don't usually do that. But I firmly believe that if we gave them the choice between the order and us, they would choose us.
Well, it's this sword has two edges, right? Like on the one hand, absolutely they deserve the choice for sure. But if one or more might decide to not follow us, that is obviously also an extreme risk.
Obviously. But they would be confined to the ship, so what were they going to do?
Well,
I
if
will
they
not
don't tell
follow
us,
you. That's
well-
too bad.
if they say they follow us and don't follow us, I mean, it's a risk. But I like these people. They've been my brothers and sisters in battle, my comrades, and I don't like this one bit.
No, and they want to do the right thing.
Look,
That is why they're in the. That's why why all of us are in the order. We want to do the right thing.
I've witnessed firsthand what makes people turn into using the dragon's power for themselves. I understand this urge. I understand the notion, and I understand where it comes from. That said, I definitely don't actually agree with it. I mean, there's a reason that I saw that and then turned into the order. There's a reason that when I saw misuse of that kind of power, that I grabbed a piece of it and marched directly to the Archon's office and gave them all up. This is too much. I don't know that we 5 can handle this. I don't know that we 5 could even fit this into our heads.
We will, because we are of the side of righteousness.
Well, I'm not so sure that there is a side of righteousness. And I'm thinking that kind of thinking is what got us here in the first place.
Well, the other problem is we need to be realistic. If we do this, the structure is ancient, well-established, and deeply rooted. We will simply become renegades hunted by most of our brothers who will not believe. They will believe what they are told. They will follow their orders. We need to be prepared for this.
Yes. That is why, I mean, it is fairly easy for them to find out, but bringing them to open their eyes and open the lids of their fucking engines, it might be a problem.
Well, on the other hand, the Rax Drakari had a pretty significant hold on the order earlier.
They used oracles.
Yes.
Mind control.
Well, partially.
Oh, I see. Was everyone
No.
uncontrolled? There was no. Okay.
But a significant number of them. Yeah.
I see.
What happened to that map that tracks where all the ships are?
Sector 13.
It went there?
It was never supposed to lead 6 to 13.
I have a thought. I know we've said 6 and 13 is secondary, but if they're sort of the secret forbidden technology center that the orders are using, then perhaps we should neutralize them first.
I don't think so. They're working on orders. And even if they're misled, the person who gives the orders is the person who is responsible.
Then we'll have to ditch the ship. We can't guarantee it's not trapped.
That is what I said before.
Which I'm rather sad about, really.
Yes.
Oh, no. Poor Con.
Maybe.
I'm not sure we need to... Look, I mean, we've been using this ship for quite a while. The only difference now is that we know how it runs. I don't think we necessarily need to ditch it.
But we know also that we are being tracked.
Yes.
Also, we are actively breaking the first edict by using it.
Man, we've been breaking the first edict from the start.
I venture that the edicts
stop as soon as possible. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, I also venture that the edicts as written are no longer relevant, since the entire organization and authority structure is compromised by its own violation of its own principles.
Wouldn't it be extremely hypocritical of us to go against the entire order in order to bring the order down and still use dragon power? It's the whole reason we would turn against the order, right?
I'm saying landing the ship and going through water and refusing to use the ship now would pretty much make it kind of suspicious and tell everyone that we know something is wrong with the ship.
Yes,
if we want to do this in any kind of discretion,
we need the crew.
Using the ship as normal.
We could fake our deaths.
This question we'll be going back to is...
Blow up the ship.
Do we want... Yes, but do we want to try to speak and reason with the other captains?
I think so.
Yeah.
Or do we want to go under and try to do this on our own?
Well, I think honestly, one will lead to the other.
That was my idea with the map. If we can find the other ships without any kind of interference from the oracles or the beacons, then we can talk to them directly.
Perhaps there's an Archon we can seek out. Maybe he still has a few maps around.
We're supposed to be rescuing one.
And I guess there is still a report we could bring in for serving a friend of his.
I suppose.
It could work.
And then we could take a look at how he feels about this whole situation, and then decide on the spot if this needs rectification or not.
Can I ask something?
That sounds reasonable.
Is Archon Mandoch Khaldun still alive?
Sorry, so you say Archon?
Yes. Is that person still alive, or were they part of the Rex Dracari purge thing?
Can you hear that name again, please?
No. Mandoch. It's the one of the Catholic Fidelity. The one that I would have spoken to back when I joined. The dwarf.
Mandoch Loch Haloon. Aye, he's still very much alive and kicking.
Yes.
He's a pirate too, huh?
Wait, what was his name?
Mandoch Loch Haloon.
Mandoch Loch Haloon.
Aye.
If we want to speak to an Archon, any Archon, then that's one that I have some personal history with, at least.
Well,
I know one of the captains of the Wellenberg.
I know him.
Well.
But you've also done that personal favor for Archon right?
Yeah, that's whom I meant, right?
Mm.
Because we still haven't called in for him, technically. So I want to go to him, and he is the person who we gave the maps to, so maybe he still has them around.
Yes.
And also, well, if we want to kind of murder our way through the leaders...
Murder our way up the hierarchy.
I mean, might as well start with him, right?
Oh, poor Con. It's no longer executions. It's actually straight up murder.
Assassination! Well, it's fucked up, is it?
I think ultimately our safest is going to be somehow invoking Edict 7, because then the authority is all with your captains anyway.
Mm.
But I think
True.
we do need to talk to the other captains.
Well,
Yes, we are going to need allies, or we are just going to die.
Otherwise, we're literally 5 people going up against the whole order.
Yes.
QA team.
And we're dead.
No.
Absolutely. And on that note, we come to the end of the Adventures of the Windswift. Possibly next week it's going to be called The Adventures of the Slightly Fast Cart. I'm not sure. Let's
Adventures of the 5 idiots who went against the order.
Let's see where
The very
that
short
goes.
adventures of the...
I hope you're as intrigued as I am at this rather curious turn of events as the captain start talking about
What do
assassinating.
you mean curious? How did you not see this coming?
Yeah. How does...
We knew.
Next week, we discover.
True evil.
True evil, right? Well, there's lots of threads out in that water. There's lots of things to pick up on. If you don't stay for the review afterwards, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again next week. Same time, same place. On to the review. I'm not sure who to start with, really. I mean, it's like, well, do we assassinate the
Why don't we start with you?
Let's start with you.
Me? Okay, we'll start with me. Well, there's not much to say, really. I had to wrap up the prison thing, and that sort of was wrapped up. It served its purpose, whatever purpose that might have been. Poor old Captain Benteen got sausage, and well, yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, the challenge that one has when you're setting up these kinds of long-term games is how much information to give out, and what happens when the players have got several cards and question the Jockenstokes, for example. They just had to crack eventually. They can only lie so much before you present the head of one of their kinsmen on the table in front of them. That has a general effect of loosening the tongue quite a lot. So that was well played in terms of getting them to talk, I think. That was the final straw, really. That sort of pushed them over the edge. But yes, absolutely. I mean, you know, you look at this type of thing and you go, well, I hope it's not moving too slowly. But at the same time, it's about building up to these kinds of moments where apparently these are the kinds of decisions that you as characters are drawn to make. And it can play out in so many different ways. You just never know. And I mean, if you look at the debate that the 5 of you were having, you're all absolutely in agreement that the ships are bad. And yet, there
It
were
could have been the other way around.
there were still voices saying, sure, they're bad, but we now have them, so we might as well carry on using them. Because they do give us a significant advantage. So what that does is that just sort of presents, I think, the moral dilemma that may have been...
I disagree. I must disagree with you, because the main argument for that was like subterfuge, not usefulness of the quickness.
Oh, sure, absolutely. That's how you see it, absolutely. But roll back 300 years and you've got basically a shattered bunch of civilizations, So it's an interesting...
I'm not saying that I as a person don't understand where they're coming from. It's just I'm playing a fairly
no, absolutely.
Yeah, it's black and everything is black and white for that man.
Correct. But I also think that that's very good. I think that it's fantastic that there are these kinds of narrative debates going on in character, regardless of how we out of character might feel. So it's absolutely right to do it. I think. But anyway, I mean, that's my perception. Where we go from here is where it gets interesting, because now I have to start going, well, how do I plan sort of adventures? How do I plan moving forward?
We'll plan the adventures for you, I guess.
Exactly. Now you're starting to plan them, and I've now got to start going, okay, well, where do I think they're going to go? Well, I don't know, because they've kind of identified their hit list as already 3 or 4 people long.
Yeah.
So
At least.
it is interesting.
It's the Tetracon, it's the Archons, it's the Lord Archon, at least.
Right. So that's well, we don't know how many Tetracons there are. That number's never been revealed, but there are 10 Archons and the Tetrarchons. So you've got 11 people at least, and then the Tetrarchons and
I mean, it's not entirely clear that all the Archons are fine with that decision, right? It could be some of them be like, I don't like, this is how it is, but like the Lord Archon tells us so, yeah, right?
Absolutely. So again, I think this is just one of the themes that I'm playing on in the entire campaign, is that oftentimes institutions become exactly that. They become more of an institution rather than the thing that they were created to do. And it's the bureaucracy that just becomes so overwhelming that the machine continues to turn, but no one knows why, and no one kind of challenges it, no one looks against it. And if they do, they just sort of disappear. And I think we've seen that, especially with Knaxa Prison, is you have a facility that doesn't get people very often. And so the guards are very lax, and the warden is lax, and the focus is more on gardening and topiaries and secret doors than anything else. So, it's something to think about. But I enjoy sessions where I get to sit back and not say anything, just listen to the debate that goes on.
I agree.
Because that's where the story is. I'm just giving plot points.
You've set things up well when the players can just sit and talk for an hour amongst themselves.
Absolutely. And just sort of see the outcome of that. And well, we'll find out that outcome hopefully next week. Anyway, let's move on. So, Con, what are your thoughts here? Let's blow up the ship. Yes, no, wait, we're not going to blow up the Windswift, surely.
Con's got obviously it's all happened, so I don't want to race to conclusions, because people need to digest things and think about things, and their knee-jerk reaction is not necessarily the same reaction they have the next day once they've had time to think about stuff. So trying to balance that with the needs of playing the game and having stuff happen and going forwards. But yeah, for Con, I mean, his whole massive dream to get on these flying ships, flying in general, and now it's like, well, actually they're the one thing he's kind of sworn to fight against, really.
Talk about getting your dreams torpedoed.
Yeah. And he's thinking about back that ship in the back in the cave when he was much younger, and his mates were trying to help him steal. Were there dragons in that? They must have been, right?
Small little dragons, pocket dragons.
So yeah, I guess his mind is kind of being blown at the moment, and he's not. He kind of almost that run away and be done with it, to hell with all of it, is kind of starting to bubble up to the surface again.
Right, absolutely. But that hopefully is what separates your character from being a background character to being a hero of a story. hopefully, is that just run away from it all approach. Perhaps, who knows, let's perhaps you become a hermit and retreat to a sanctuary amongst the rest of the druids.
Because
his world burns.
Exactly, he's not sure. Like he's I can see that the situation we're presented with is one that requires action, and obviously I will probably involve it. But at the same time, I'm kind of looking to the future, going, "This has happened before. We're just going to be turned into the bad guys and killed."
The victor writes the history, my friend.
So I'm almost facing a choice if I could bugger off to the mountains and woe-betide anyone who tries to come in and enforce the Order's retirement policy.
Yeah, you have bears.
Or I can try and fix this thing. So that's kind of where I am.
Right. So, Kat, are you in the same sort of moral predicament?
Well, kind of, because, again, orphans, the cat comes to find family in Order of Vistari. I go back to the psychological impact of that being taken away on quite a large level. So definitely going to have post-traumatic stress disorder after this.
I just found out my dad is the devil.
Yeah, great. No. So yeah, where does this take Saket? She doesn't really know. And at some point, I guess the GM and I are going to have a discussion about where her wild magic comes from, because I might know a little bit more about her backstory than Guy does, and therefore we need to talk about that at some point. That might be useful to him to wrap in some, weave it in somehow. So, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, all very, very confusing for Saket on an emotional level, because it's a real quandary. What do? Do you keep the bow? Do you keep the subterfuge up? Do you go and tell the other captains what to do? Make a plan with them? We're basically going to do Edict 7 without telling the Archdeacon what we're doing. And then go from there, or how are we going to play this? So it's all going to be very interesting in the next few weeks, I suspect, because this is not going to take 1 or 2 episodes to resolve.
No, it's not going to wrap up that quickly.
Unless we all die next turn.
Right, unless everyone sort of dies, absolutely. Well, only Adversary really runs that risk on a regular basis.
It's true.
Right, so Blackstone, potentially the architect of a revolution that sweeps out the old and brings in a new, better order, more focused and devoted than ever before.
New world order, that's what he's about. Yeah. No, the thing when you kind of were talking about the institutions and such, and let me first talk from me as a player, from the point of view as a player, and maybe even as a dungeon master. I love this. I absolutely love this. For me, it is so important to have more to it than it seems. Like this entire kind of institution is very much very black and white, and very Blackstone is very black and white, right? So that is what it seems, but there's more to it when you kind of start digging a little bit and looking under some stones and open the closets in the cellar, right?
Right.
And I think bringing the politics, bringing this thing to rolling, bringing it like 3-dimensional feel, and making it feel like there are people at work with actual moral dilemmas. They're kind of out of their sorts as well. They don't know how they should deal with this, and they just make decisions, right? Making a decision and then living with this is better than making no decision, and that's actually something I agree very firmly with. But this character does not have this outlook on things, and he feels betrayed. He is still fairly young, and he came very blue-eyed into this whole situation and pledged his life basically to this. And he feels very, very, he feels betrayed and lied to, and that gives him a tremendous amount of anger and hate. From his personal feelings kind of position. And I mean, generally speaking, he is also somewhat pragmatic and very absolute in his kind of values and decisions. So this just seems like, that's clear. And I think what I really try to bring home here is that he has more problems with the personal dilemma with what he's going to do with his people, like with his crew, and how he's going to solve this. But on the one hand, he cannot really warn them that they're going to betray the order, perhaps. But he owes it to them, right? Like that's like there's camaraderie, and like that he is responsible for them. He feels responsible for the other captains. That's why he kind of kicks out as soon as one of them is like in danger. So that's something I enjoy very much. It's like, whatever, this Lord Akon, yeah, he needs to die, right? Like that's like, but like Naxun died, oh my God, right? That's much bigger of a problem. And now what I wanted to say, what I started with and didn't finish, I want to do, when you started to talk about these institutions, that's like Asterix and Obelix go to Rome kind of situation where you need to go like, you just do it for the hell of it, right? I kind of, at the back of my mind, something came to me, and I actually looked it up now how it is in English because I learned it in German, but it's like, turn him to any cause of policy. The guardian not of it he will unloose. Familiar as his garter, right? That's Shakespeare. Kind of like, yeah, like this is a shitty situation. Everybody's just following it because it's just like your day-to-day life and that's what you're used to. But like, I think a hero is also the person that kind of changes the status quo, right? Either you have the status quo changed in the beginning of the adventure, and that's what breaks it loose. But since this is a little bit like different, you can also be the hero that changes the status quo. And I think that is, I guess,
or the villain.
Sure, that's what I mean. Like if it's before then Lexon and the crew is the villain, and then the heroes come afterwards, right? On which point in this like story we are, who knows? And that's maybe also a perspective thing, right? But I think that is kind of the protagonist of the story, or antagonist. Yeah. So that's super interesting for me, and I'm looking forward to how this turns out and what we can learn, what we can do, and. Maybe we die, maybe we don't.
Let's hope not. Tobias, Jorik.
Oh, wow. What a contrast to last episode. Last episode was like, we're fighting for the order. We're going to clean this up. And now it's like,
oh, God.
Now
we're fighting for the order.
Now we're fighting the order. Yeah. But as for me as a player, this is fantastic. I love moral dilemmas. Much more than I love mysteries. So this is great. It's agonizing having to decide over it because it's, no matter how much you distance yourself from your character, there's still a part of you, right? So this is not as difficult for me to decide on as it is for Jorik, obviously, but it's still a really difficult choice to make, like, because this could change so much, and it could quite frankly mean the end of Jorik's life in the next episode. So this is a difficult one to make. So I'm actually going to have to think a lot, both what I feel about this and what Jorik's thoughts would be on it. Jorik is a little simpler to decide on because he, as a character, he has a lot of what drives him is fear and compassion. It's basically his two main driving forces. And they sort of interconnect as well because he's been seeing these visions of demons and monsters from some formless dimension coming through and devouring his soul, which is one of the reasons he wears this face veil, because every time he takes it off, it feels like his soul is going to be sucked out by these monsters. That's part of his madness, these things that torment him all the time. And with the introduction of the Order of the Hastari, he's come to realize, or at least convince himself, that these visions that he sees are visions of the dragons returning. So he is with the Order out of fear of the dragons. He must defeat them or they will return. And compassion is obviously he needs to defeat the dragons in order to keep his sister safe. Because they're the only one who's still alive that he has any connection to. Everyone else is dead. So he will probably stick with Blackston on this one. The dragons must not return.
Interesting.
So very fantastic fun.
Yes, and there's also someone who claims to know something about your sister as well. That'll be interesting. How
the fact that Jorik ignored that all the time when they got back to the ship just tells you how invested he is in stopping the dragons. It's like, okay, you can wait. I know you know things, but this is more important.
Adressai?
Yes. Oh, wow.
Do they have an inkling? Is there a suspicion about these scaly gnomes?
There's like, I mean, I'm personally not that great in putting these things together, but I think there's like definite threads between the scaliness and the dragons and these artifacts and the ice elves and the Shaquantil and the book, and there's a whole web here that is obviously interconnected and moving together. But I mean, I think the reason that they were so quiet for such a long time after the gnomes were talking is that I think they've been sort of prepared for the hit since they saw that thing in the other engine room in the prison, and they've sort of known that, like, started preparing. They were freaking out back then, and now they're sort of like hearing that the entire order was in on it was very much like getting the rug pulled out from under you. There was just this hole where this sense of safety and security used to be, and this realization that there's been this parasite inside the ship and inside of us all of this time, and just suddenly realizing, I think what they were thinking about as sort of Blackstone was freaking out and starting to talk about murdering everyone, and everyone was like, oh, what do we do? Do we do this? Do we do this? And they were just like kind of overwhelmed with this sudden sense of danger that they were in. And I think that's why they were so focused on like being careful and like we need to think very carefully about what we do next, because I don't think that they're not hesitant about, like, they know that they can't keep doing this. They understand that the dragons are too dangerous to do this, especially what they saw at the prison, but they also know that the order is possibly going to be a much more pressing threat, and that they need to be as careful about what the order finds out in the next like few hours, days. And I think they're just hyper aware of this constant pressing danger.
Right.
And it's just there's no like sense of, because they're very hesitant, not because they're not sure about what to do, because they know that this corruption, this parasite has to be somehow removed, but they realize that it has to be done all at once. It has to be done like Lord Archons, all of the engines, everything at once. They can't be like, you split it up, you kill someone, there's a faction, they turn against us, there's a war on, half the engines get forgotten. It's like just the amount of chaos that could be done if you don't pull this out and apart very, very carefully. And I think they're just a little overwhelmed right now.
And that's a fantastic perspective, because I think characters like Jorek and Blackstone, we would go in guns blazing and causing this rupture. So it's fantastic that there is this kind of perspective in the group.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
Adressai is a very, very patient person, and a very, very sort of methodical and person that sort of, you look at a problem and then you like look at it from all the angles and then you figure out what to do about it. And not this whole mad rushing in and just murdering the Lord Archon kind of thing.
Except when there are magical books around.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It doesn't count. I don't know what you're talking about.
Thank you all for participating. Thank you for staying with us for quite a long episode, actually. As we
It was worth it.
As we face these moral dilemmas, what would you do moving forward? Do you have any plans? How would you do it? Do we wipe out everybody? Do we activate Order 66, or do we go all rebel on the crowd and try and survive whilst taking it to the oppressor? Who knows? We'll find out when the Adventures of the Windswift returns next week, as usual. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, from all of us, goodbye.